Hello, friends. Wayne Elliott here from the Strauss Naturals Company. Pleased to be with you today, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to focus primarily on women's health today in our session. And I'd just like to start out, especially since women now have slightly more heart attacks than men do. Our ladies are busy these days. Most are working women. Some in very responsible positions, and the pressure and stress that goes along with that, in addition to looking after their families. So our ladies are virtually doing double duty or triple duty these days. And as distressing as it is that they have more heart attacks now than men, it is a fact. So I'd just like to start out by saying the Strauss Heart Drops are an amazing, amazing product. I had a heart attack at age 35 years old, and I actually didn't see doctors right away, because after the sledgehammer in the chest and down I went, I didn't suffer any pain after that. And I was a football player, and we tend to think, especially when we're young, that we're bulletproof and that we'll be okay. And I've never been a big fan, of course, of pharmaceuticals. And so I refused back then any help that was offered, from surgery to the various drugs, blood thinners, and statin drugs for cholesterol, which I'm sure glad I did refuse all that, because I believe they're treating the wrong people. If those statin drugs did work, they don't plan to clear out any plaque or cholesterol. People should know that. But I am glad I refused all that. And I did go downhill for 5 years after that heart attack, until the luckiest day of my life, when a friend told me about Strauss Heart Drops and how his own bypass surgery was canceled by his doctors after he was on the Strauss Heart Drops. I'll always be grateful to my friend Ted for letting me know about them, because that day I ordered a bottle for myself, and the rest is history. I have not had a pharmaceutical, any kind, over the counter or otherwise, for these 30 years now, and I never planned to. The Strauss Heart Drops saved me. I had all the angina symptoms, of course. Within 6 months of that heart attack, I had all the angina symptoms, the leg cramps, night sweats, shortness of breath. And I also, over that period, developed high blood pressure and irregular heartbeat, which was, for me, the most disturbing, because I felt every beat. And that truly did bother me day and night. I went to sleep with it, woke up with it, and up through the night, sometimes gasping, not thinking I was going to get a breath of air. Always did. But the feeling was just so uncomfortable, feeling my irregular heartbeat. I had supraventricular tachycardia, which turns out was a 1-beat race. I thought my heart was skipping a beat, but about every 7th beat was a race beat, and leaving a blank spot before the next beat. So when the heart drops they changed my life. In 3 months, I was a new man. I thought I was Superman. Turns out I wasn't yet, but it changed my life. I had energy. It just totally changed how I was feeling. I had no more anxiety. I didn't even know I'd had anxiety until I didn't have it anymore after a couple of months on the heart drops. And the energy increased for me at an incredible pace. And when I met Jim Strauss, my 5th month taking the heart drops, and I told him, Jim, that it's changed my life. It's unbelievable what's happened to me with your heart drops. However, I still have high blood pressure, and I still have this irregular heartbeat. I never got a booklet or anything from Strauss. I was just recommended to these Strauss Heart Drops. And so until that visit out to Kamloops to meet Jim and see, I didn't know they had any other formulas. That's the truth. So Jim told me, if you've been on the heart drops over 4 months and your blood pressure has not been lowered, then it's your kidneys that's the problem. And with all the great diagnostic equipment we have in Western medicine today, and there is really some incredible diagnostic equipment and procedures that they have to tell us what our troubles are. They cannot still tell us whether it's our heart, our kidneys, one of our kidneys, or heart and kidneys contributing to the high blood pressure. There is no such test. And so, of course, the pharmaceuticals, they deal with the symptoms, the numbers. And if they work to fix it, of course, which they don't claim to do, people would be able to get off their drugs when they were better and their blood pressure was normal, but that doesn't happen. So when Jim told me that it must be my kidneys, he introduced me to the Strauss kidney blood pressure formula. And 3 months on that formula, my blood pressure went to 120/70, and it stayed there for decades. Incredible. On the irregular heartbeat, I learned they had the Cardiocalm formula. And this is a great formula. Once again, 3 months on that, my heartbeat went regular. And until I got myocarditis, inflammation of the heart a couple of years ago, it stayed regular just as my blood pressure did at a very healthy rate. So I bring these up because the fact that women have more heart attacks than men these days, I think it's very important. Blood circulation is the most important body function. The proof of that is that each one of us has 50,000 miles of vessels and veins inside us. And that's almost impossible to believe, except it's a fact. 50,000 miles inside each of us, twice around the earth. It's just hard to believe, but it's true. The reason for that is every one of the cells in our body needs blood. Hair in our head, right to our toenails, and every cell in between. Every cell needs blood to work as it should work in our bodies. Every organ, every cell. And when we have restricted blood flow, and that's the magic of the Strauss heart drops, when we have restricted blood flow, we're going to have problems. We tend to think of heart attack due to restricted blood flow and therefore less oxygen than our heart needs. It's that lack of oxygen that causes a heart attack. And strokes or a brain attack. Our carotid arteries feed our brain with blood, and our brain requires 20% of all the oxygen that we take in. If we get less than that, we're at risk of a stroke or a brain attack. So they're so important. These three formulas, heart drops, kidney blood pressure, and Strauss Cardiocalm. Where are we here? I'm using the wrong hand. Strauss Cardiocalm. They changed my life. I have a very, very strong heart. I'm in my 73rd year now. Very strong heart. I have no heart issues. I do continue to take the Strauss heart drops because I never want to go back to where I was. And we always say that diabetics should not stop taking heart drops because circulation is their big challenge. And they have a 4 to 5 times greater chance, men and women, 4 to 5 times greater chance of a heart attack or stroke than those of us that do not have diabetes. It's a very serious Schedule A disease is diabetes. So it's very important, just as important for our females as our males, to keep our heart as healthy as possible and keep our blood flow full. As we were intended to. When we were created, there were no chemical drugs. There were no man-made chemical drugs to start with. All there were was plants and herbals and herbs to fix us. And still, to this day, 2/3 of the world relies on natural medicine. 2/3 of the world's population relies on natural medicine first. In North America, especially Canada and the US, we're big on the pharmaceuticals. But the heart health is so important, not just for our heart and our ladies' hearts, and that blood flow. As I say, wherever there's a blockage or restriction, we're going to have a problem, whether it's your shoulder, your feet, your legs, varicose veins. So the Strauss heart drops is our flagship product. It's our most important product. It's our biggest selling product in 7 countries. And it is just a very important formula to ensure we have the blood flow we're supposed to have, that we're meant to have. Clogged arteries, that's a prescription for heart attack. Clogged carotid arteries, where we tend to get, it's not plaque, it's stringy fats in our carotid arteries, but it still restricts our blood flow. And when our brain gets less than, it gets 20% of our oxygen it needs that we take in. So when it gets 20% of too little oxygen, we run the risk of a stroke. But it just goes much further, circulation does, as our most important body function. For example, it has a great effect on menopause. When our ladies go through perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, with all these symptoms, the hot flashes, the night sweats, terrible sweats, where they'll soak their bedclothes in their bed, sometimes 2 or 3 times through the night. It all starts with good circulation. And 2 products that we're going to focus on a little more today are the Woman's Wonder product. This formula, Woman's Wonder, is to help ladies and young ladies and teens during their menstrual cycle. It's only taken 3 days per month. If a woman is regular with her cycle, the day before it starts should be day 1 of 3 days. And if any of our ladies or teens are not regular, then the first day their cycle starts is day 1, and they would take the formula for 3 days. Most all of the Strauss products have a cleansing effect, a detoxing effect. Very important. Clean tissues are the most important thing we can have in our body, whether we're talking about our circulatory system, our arteries, our vessels, right down to the tiny capillaries that feed our skin. If a person has grayish blue lips or grayish blue skin or uneven color, red, blotchy skin, that's a blood flow issue. It's a circulation issue. So, and whatever we're taking, whether you're taking natural medicine, pharmaceuticals, or some of each, you want the medicine, the help, to get where it's needed. And that means you need that blood flow. There's only one transportation system in our body. I mean, the lymphatic system is also a transport system with our immune cells. But when it comes to our food, our water, our wastewater, our medicine, our oxygen, there's only the one transportation system, and that's our blood flow, our circulation system. So there is nothing more important than our circulation, and that is certainly no different for the female population. It is the number one most important body function. Now, pardon me, the cleansing effect of most all of the Strauss formulas is just very important. As I said, clean tissues are the best thing that we can have in whatever part of our body. Our liver catches the heck from any chemicals that we ingest. That can be from pharmaceuticals, it can be from smoking, drinking alcohol, even on our food, our produce, our vegetables and fruits that are sprayed with sometimes insecticides, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, chemical fertilizers, and sometimes chemical preservatives. So even on our natural foods, we're dealing with chemicals. We're surrounded by them. All the plastic in our world, all the plastic bottles and containers, they're all made from chemicals. So Jim Strauss always believed that the tremendous amount of chemicals in our life and genetically modified organisms, GMO foods, seedless fruits, seedless vegetables, for example. In fact, 93% of what's on our major grocery store shelves, including the produce section, is or contains GMOs. So these are not natural foods. These are man-made foods. And they certainly weren't around when humans were created. And they are just not as good for us as the natural foods. Our soil on top of it all is depleted. At some point, it was no longer fashionable to leave fields laying fallow or lay dormant for a year every 4 or 5 years to rejuvenate themselves with the minerals and humates that they're meant to have. And if it isn't in the soil, it won't be in our vegetables and fruit. And if it's not in our vegetables and fruits, we don't get them. So although Strauss does not make vitamins and minerals, I believe it's very important that we take them. I take them every day. It just isn't in our foods to the level or extent they're supposed to be. So it's very wise to supplement with the likes of full spectrum minerals and the vitamins. Vitamin D3 is very important. After age 50, we do not get the amount of vitamin D3 from the sun that we do in our younger years. We just don't get as much. There are many doctors that feel, I've heard as much as that we should have 1,000 units of vitamin D3 for every 25 pounds of weight. Now, for me, I'm 200 pounds, so that would mean whatever it is, 8,000 or 9,000 IUs a day. I do take 4,000 or 5,000 a day of the D3 myself. Vitamin C is very important. Dr. Linus Pauling won 2 Nobel Prizes, I think almost 100 years ago, for his work on vitamin C, the importance of vitamin C, and the fact that Dr. Pauling won a Nobel Prize for his work to determine that it isn't so much we do to ourselves that causes illness, it's the deficiencies that causes much illness. So not getting enough vitamins and minerals that we're intended to have, for example, or not enough natural foods that we're intended to have, can affect that a good deal. So there's never been a more important time to supplement. Fast food and all the sugar and salt that we get too much of, most of us, is definitely not good. They're both called white death, the table salt and the iodized salt and the refined sugar, not good for us. And that refined sugar, that's most baked goods. White bread, bugs won't even touch. There's nothing in there for them. So you leave some white bread out, you'll find insects won't even eat it. And most baked goods, cakes, pies, they're all delicious. Tarts and cookies, I love them. I've sure ate my share of them, and nice candies and chocolates, but they're really not good for us. And they also tend to be acidic, acid ash foods, if you will. And humans, when their body environment, their pH environment in their body is too acidic, that's when we develop Schedule A diseases such as cancer. Parasites thrive on the acid ash foods and the sugars and primarily. So there's never been a more important time to try and eat properly, as well, as difficult as that can be. The seeds that are in fruits and vegetables are very important. So I'm particularly stressed these days because I can't find grapes with seeds in them. We used to have the very large globe grapes with big seeds in them. That might have been the best food left in the world at that point for humans. And I haven't been able to find them anywhere for a year or so now. So the situation gets worse in terms of our food choices. And hence, never a more important time to do a better job looking after ourselves otherwise, supplementing with vitamins, minerals, and good natural products, particularly that have a cleansing effect. So if you were going to had a plan to lose a lot of weight, more than 20 pounds of weight, it is so important that you cleanse or detox either before or during your weight loss program. The reason being, if a 300-pound person had only 30 pounds, they say the average person has 30 pounds of waste and toxins inside us. So chances are a 300-pound person would have more than 30 pounds. But let's just, for numbers' sake, say they do have 30 pounds. So 10% of their body mass at a weight of 300 pounds, 10% of their body mass is toxins and waste. And let's say they are on a very strong weight loss regime and they want to be 200 pounds. Well, if you don't cleanse, detox, and remove those wastes as you're losing the weight, and you get down to 200 pounds, now 15% of your body mass is waste and toxins. And most people know of someone, I'm thinking of some of my parents' friends who lost a great deal of weight like that, 80 and 100 pounds, who didn't look good after they did. I'd say the most common thing was this red, blotchy, uneven colored skin. Many of them get sick and many of them have died. And we just can't, our bodies won't take increasing the amount of waste and toxins inside us. There's a limit, you know. So it's just very important on any serious weight loss program, you'll want to do some cleansing, at least at the same time as you are losing your weight and on your weight loss program. There's a big connection between menopause and some of the issues our females suffer and the heart as well. There's a big connection. And as I say, the Woman's Wonder product to help with the symptoms of the menstrual cycle, bloating, cramping, feeling very poorly. In my tour of hundreds of health stores in Canada last year, so many of the women talked about their daughters or some of the young female staff they had that were forced to miss a day or two of school or a day or two of work because they suffered so much during their menstrual cycle. I urge you to try the Strauss Woman's Wonder formula and suffer no more. Don't lose any more days of school. Don't feel so poorly with that bloating and cramping. It's a wonderful product. I'll just read for you the ingredients in case anyone's interested in looking these up. For many years, it has been well known the benefit from these individual herbs. You can go on PubMed.gov and see the thousands of studies. So in the Woman's Wonder formula, I'm going to read them so I don't miss anything. The herbal ingredients are squaw vine herb, raspberry leaf, cramp bark, blessed thistle, uva ursi leaf, donkey root, ginger root, golden seal root, that's nature's strongest antibiotic herb, golden seal root, lobelia, marshmallow root, and false unicorn root. And all I can promise you is this formula is so effective, you need suffer no more during your menstrual cycle. And just to give you an example of what these individual herbs, some of them are known to do, the squaw vine herb, good for menstrual cramps and preparation for childbirth, relieves pelvic congestion and soothes the nervous system. Raspberry leaf, good for female disorders such as menstrual cramps, morning sickness, and hot flashes, decreases menstrual bleeding, relaxes uterine and intestinal spasms, and strengthens the uterine walls. Cramp bark, highly recognized for its success in the treatment of excessive blood loss during menstruation. It's remarkably effective for relaxing the uterine muscles and is a powerful antispasmodic, proving very effective in relaxing cramps and spasms of all kinds. Donkey root increases the effectiveness of ovarian hormones used in the treatment of female problems such as premenstrual syndrome, vaginal dryness, hot flashes, and other menopausal symptoms. That's our Woman's Wonder formula. And interesting with the Strauss formulas, all of them. And the menopause formula, Strauss Menopause, is our most complex formula. It has 20 individual natural herbs in this formula. And again, the heart health is so important and has an effect on our ladies going through menopause. But the great thing about the Strauss formulas, all of them, is that they don't just deal with the symptoms, number one. They go to the root of the problem. They have a cleansing effect. And as some of the ingredients always is just good food, if you will, for that part of the human body. So it's supportive in many ways, these formulas. And the menopause formula, I will read to you the ingredients. As I say, there's 20 individual herbs in this formula. And they are blue cohosh root, black cohosh root, pennyroyal herb, squaw vine herb, raspberry leaf, cramp bark, uva ursi leaf, valerian root, lady slipper root, ginseng root, ginger root, bayberry bark, lady's mantle herb, saffron flower, periwinkle herb, Don K root, blessed thistle, false unicorn root, sarsaparilla root, damiana leaf, licorice root, and lobelia. 20 individual natural herbs are in the menopause formula. And just to let you know a few of them and what they're historically proven to do, what we should expect of them. The raspberry leaf decreases menstrual bleeding, relaxes uterine and intestinal spasms, and strengthens the uterine walls. Good for female disorders such as morning sickness, hot flashes, and menstrual cramps. Now you'll notice that some of these ingredients are also in the Woman's Wonder. It makes perfect sense. Before we brought the menopause back and got it approved in liquid form, we've had it for years, but not in the liquid form until this past couple of years. The Woman's Wonder was approved first. And so many ladies with suffering the symptoms of menopause were using the Woman's Wonder formula and getting some help. So it's not surprising because some of the herbs in each one are common. The lady's mantle herb eases the changes of menopause, reduces pain associated with menstruation as well as excessive bleeding. Don K root increases the effectiveness of ovarian hormones used in the treatment of hot flashes and other menopausal symptoms, premenstrual syndrome, and vaginal dryness. Damiana leaf, used to remedy sexual and hormonal problems, stimulates muscular contraction of the intestinal tract and brings oxygen to the genital area. So these herbs that Strauss has used in these formulas are proven over centuries, really. It's the menopause formula again. And your satisfaction, of course, with Strauss, all Strauss formulas, is guaranteed. If you are not satisfied, you simply get all your money back. There's no exception to that rule at Strauss. So you certainly can't be cheated for your money. These formulas all are proven safe. In 46 years commercially available, there's not been one complaint to the US FDA, not one complaint to Health Canada, and not one complaint to the Strauss company of any serious side effect or harmful effect. Not one in 46 years, with millions and millions of bottles sold and consumed by people. So they are safe. They don't contraindicate with any pharmaceutical drugs. That's very important. It's very important. They're as different really as food and man-made chemical drugs. These are all natural herbs that are used in the Strauss formulas. So the twain doesn't meet between man-made chemical drugs and natural herbal formulas. They, regardless of whether someone is on pharmaceuticals or not, first of all, there's no contraindication. There's no harm by taking the herbal formulas. And secondly, we've seen that the herbal formulas work notwithstanding the pharmaceuticals. You know, if pharmaceuticals fixed us, which they don't claim to do in their defense, they don't claim to fix us, But if they did, we would get to stop taking them at some point. And that doesn't happen. In my experience, it never happens. So again, your satisfaction is always guaranteed. And you have no danger taking these. You can't overdose on these formulas. Your body knows what to do with natural substances, just like it knows what to do with fresh natural apples or asparagus or squash or cucumbers. If you eat too much, well, generally we'll go to the bathroom and get rid of the rest. We don't get sick or have a harmful effect by taking too much. So you cannot overdose on these formulas. Now, having said that, you must be careful with your pharmaceuticals, that's for sure. And I always urge people to please read your paperwork with any drugs that you're taking. The drug companies provide you with the information they know and the potential side effects, the possible serious side effects or harmful effects, and it's in your paperwork. So please, if you read nothing else, read the paperwork on your pharmaceuticals carefully, because if you're suffering one of these serious side effects or harmful effects, you want to know it so you can let your doctor know it, and then he or she can help you decide whether you're going to change drugs. They may change your dosage, but it's something that should be dealt with. And unless you know to tell your doctor, you could be at risk, just as the pharmaceutical companies warn on all of their formulas. So the other thing is, for our ladies, the ladies seem to suffer more than our males with bladder issues. Men, of course, have a prostate, and more than 50% of all men will have a serious issue with their prostate after the age of 60. My dad did. I have had a problem, and the Strauss prostate formula is incredible, fabulous. With women, it's more the bladder. They don't have a prostate, obviously, but the Strauss bladder formula is like no other. It's truly an incredible formula. Urinary tract infections, incontinence, leaking, urgency to go, getting up too many times through the night, which in the case of my poor mom, rest in peace, she suffered because she got up 4 or 5 times through the night and always had difficulty getting back to sleep. So her biggest problem was exhaustion. And once she got on the Strauss bladder drops, she was already on the heart drops, but once she got on the bladder drops, she would get up at the most once through the night, like I do, and was no longer exhausted all the time. So these are very uncomfortable, inconvenient things, having leaking. Some ladies, if they cough or sneeze, they'll have leaking of urine. Urinary tract infections are very stubborn and very uncomfortable and troublesome. And the Strauss bladder formula is a very strong, effective formula. The bladder formula has the golden seal root. That's nature's strongest antibiotic herb that can really help our body to get rid of that bacteria, which is at least the source of many issues in our body, the bad bacteria. So Strauss bladder drops, fabulous if you suffer any of those issues. A wonderful thing to take for prevention as well. All of these Strauss formulas are, and we urge people to do that. It's easier to avoid the problem than it is to suffer through it, and that includes heart attack. Easier to prevent than to suffer through it and come back from it. Now, I have no complaints. I had a heart attack at an early age, and I have not had one issue since with my heart. I'm in my 73rd year, never a pill, never a surgery. I refused all of that. So there is nothing I took but the Strauss heart drops, and it's made my heart incredibly strong. I had some tests in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and the doctor, the first thing he told me was that they're not trained to see it. They don't ever expect to see it. And they don't see a man, I was either 69 or 70 years old then, to have as strong a heart as what I have. And, that was good for me. I knew it. I mean, you can't deny how you feel. And so I defy anybody who's having any of these issues with angina, even if you've had open heart surgery, if you've had bypass surgery, consider that you have 50,000 miles of vessels inside your body. And when they do a bypass surgery of the main arteries to our heart, they can do 1, 2, 3, 4 bypasses. They take that vein from another part of your body, oftentimes your legs, sometimes your arm, depends how many bypasses you have, I believe. Now, those vessels were put in our legs and arm for a reason, carrying blood. So they're meant to be where the Creator put them inside us. That's the first issue I had and why I refused the open heart surgery for my clogged arteries, is that it seemed to me I'd likely have trouble elsewhere when those veins got removed from where they were supposed to be to bypass my clogged arteries. The second thing is, let's say you had a quadruple bypass. You had 4 heart arteries bypassed. So you might have, I don't know, 1.5 feet or 2 feet of arteries replaced, if you will, replaced with ones that came from another part of your body. Once again, I'll say, but so that's 1.5 feet or 2 feet out of 50,000 miles of vessels inside us. It's a tiny, tiny percentage. And of course, it's helpful, the bypass surgery. Jim Strauss used to say it prolongs death, not life. And I know what he meant. So the best thing is to have full blood flow throughout our body. And that's what the heart drops seek to do in each of us. And why I chose not to have the open heart surgery, chose not to take any of those pills, and I never did. So it was only the Strauss heart drops that put my heart into the condition it is. And the Strauss Cardiocalm dealt with my irregular heartbeat. Health Canada also told us about a year and a half ago that if we added a slight bit more Skullcap root, one of the ingredients in the Strauss Cardiocalm, that we could claim it as a calmative for anxiety. And it was then that I learned that one of our own staff used the formula for that. And I think a fair number of people do use it as a calmative. When we're have anxiety or we're anxious about things, stress is a very bad thing for us. When they say stress kills, it's true. It's just a very unhealthy condition for us to live in, is with stress. Our cells, including our immune system, has to decide whether to fight or flee. And oftentimes when it flees, we're really in trouble. So it's great as a calmative. I took it for my irregular heartbeat, and I'm so grateful because that was the symptom of my heart disease that bothered me the most. It never stopped. It was around the clock, every day, all night, and I felt it. And that was the most troublesome to me. So the heart health is very important for our ladies. Not only do they have even more heart attacks than males do, but everything connects in our body. And it's our circulation, it's our blood system and our nerves. We have 9,000 miles of nerves inside each of us. But it's our circulation that is the key, the most important key to our good health. We need blood everywhere. And so it's no surprise that it helps ladies as they're with their menstrual cycle, and more especially really with the menopause, and perimenopause, and postmenopause, with all of those nasty symptoms that our ladies can suffer. But I'll tell you, if your heart is in good condition, you'll suffer less as well to start with. And with these two formulas, the Woman's Wonder, which is really made for the symptoms of during the menstrual cycle, and the menopause formula, and both of these conditions, if you will, it's biology, is there's no cure for these things in our natural process, but our ladies have to suffer right from their early teens through the menstrual cycle, and until they go into menopause, all those years, decades really, and then menopause, they can suffer. A lot of women don't. If you're in good health, if you have good blood flow, there is an end for most women. For a lot of women, there's not an end. They continue to suffer hormone imbalances and mood swings and so forth. So I just recommend those two formulas, the Woman's Wonder and the menopause formula for our ladies. They're fabulous, they're safe, they're guaranteed, and you won't be sorry. And as well as those nasty troubles that can be had with the urinary tract system and our bladder, as I mentioned earlier, the Strauss bladder formula, again, is guaranteed and it's safe. You know, the other things that we all know these things, but sometimes we need to be reminded. And I think one of our bigger problems, truthfully, is not drinking enough good water. If you are constipated, look to drink more water. That's the first step. Someone my size, at just under 200 pounds, needs at least 10 glasses a day. I don't always get that, and I'm conscious of this. And I don't think 90% of us get enough water. If during the winter time you have cracked lips, cracked skin, sometimes on your hands, you need more water. So our body is 62% water, except for our lungs, which is, I think it's 80% water. So water is very important to us. And constipation is a Schedule A disease that can kill you. Death starts in the colon, Jim Strauss would always say. So constipation is not something you want to live with. And in that first, if you start your day off with a big tumbler of room temperature or warmer water, it's wonderful to put lemon juice in your water. I put my vitamin C granules in the water as well in the morning. And that is a fabulous way to start the day. You're also best if you don't eat for the first couple of hours that you're awake. And but always start with that water before your supplements, before anything, before your coffee. Start with that glass of warm or room temperature water. If you put lemon in it, it's great. It's not just the vitamin C. Our body seems to magically, nature is a magical thing, really. The acid in lemons, our body converts to alkali when we ingest it. It's like magic. So there's many benefits. It will help you to not be constipated. We should all have a bowel movement at least once a day. And when it comes to urinating, we're only meant to urinate 8 or 9 times every 24 hours. So if you're peeing 3 or 4 or 5 times through the night and many times through the day, that's not the way it's supposed to be. 8 or 9 times per 24 hours is what we're meant to do. So if you want relief from that, I urge you to try the Strauss bladder formula. For stomach ailments, including ulcers, in Canada, we apparently spend $40 million every day on stomach ailments in our hospitals. And what's wonderful is the strongest probiotic in the world, the strongest thing you can't buy better than European sauerkraut. 2 ingredients only, salt and green cabbage. No wine, no vinegar that can hurt your stomach, just salt and cabbage. And there is no better probiotic exists than fermented vegetables, and fermented cabbage. Sauerkraut is the number one. If you have 2 or 3 forkfuls, if you're suffering with your stomach, 2 or 3 forkfuls before each meal, even before a snack, cookie and a cup of tea, 2 or 3 forkfuls, chew it well, in 10 days, you'll have a new stomach lining, which is primarily sodium in the first place. So $4 or $5 for a good sized jar of sauerkraut, and that's the best probiotic that you can use. If you have Crohn's colitis, the inability to digest fiber, ironically, the only fix is fiber. So how can we do that if we're unable to digest it? There's two ways we can do that. Number one, I'll show you what I've used, not for Crohn's colitis, just for help with digestion, is I've used the Now brand of digestive enzymes. So a combination of digestive enzymes before each meal. And more importantly, to start, whatever you're going to eat, put in a blender. You don't have to do this forever. You may well want to stay on the digestive enzymes long term, but you won't need to blend your food like baby food for very long. In our experience, 3 to 4 weeks, and then you shouldn't likely have to do it anymore. And what the blender does, of course, is break that fiber down into small, much smaller pieces, if you will. The enzymes are like having a little shredder in your stomach as well. And we must chew our food well. Digestion starts in our mouth. So chew your food well. If you're wanting to lose some weight or control your weight, they're real key. Eat slower, chew your food well. Your stomach will get a chance to tell your brain that you've had enough, you're satisfied. And by putting your food in a blender, and the only thing that you should never eat with Crohn's colitis is apple skins, not even in the blender. They're just too tough to digest for folks suffering with these ailments. So no apple skins. The rest of the apple's fine, and everything else. If you're having roast beef, mashed potatoes, and green beans for supper, put it in there. It'll taste just as good, and you won't need to do that for long. Some young women that I've known and have helped, it's like their period never stopped. The one young lady was getting a transfusion, blood transfusion every week, and she got down to 85 pounds. When she started on this regime of the digestive enzymes, vegetable enzymes, and putting her food in a blender, in 3 weeks, she was 85 pounds. A beautiful young lady, down to 85 pounds. And in, I think, 3 weeks, she gained 12 pounds, stopped bleeding, and suffered no more. So again, it's not expensive if you have a blender and can blend your food like that. The digestive enzymes aren't very expensive. This large bottle is $40 retail, and it would last you at least a couple of months. And you don't need to suffer anymore with the Crohn's colitis. It's that fiber that you need to be well again. For weight loss, what I've found is wonderful is this green coffee bean extract. Once again, Strauss does not make it. I've used it for years now. My mother, who was diabetic, she was my guinea pig. She took it along with me. And when she would have a piece of pie or a piece of cake for dessert, instead of her sugar, she tested her sugar a couple times a day with her blood, poking her finger. Her sugar would no longer be 13 or 14, 15. It'd be 6, 7, 8. And using the green coffee bean extract, I've found it's a very helpful way. And what they claim happens is with the green coffee bean extract is it helps take the sugar out of your blood, and so you can dispose of it. I found it very effective. I will continue to use it myself, and it is a very helpful way to control your weight. My weight has been steady now for more than 10 years. I've stayed within 3 or 4 pounds. I've got a pretty good appetite. I used to have a huge appetite, and it started to relax a little when I turned 65. It was about then that I started wanting less. I ate a tremendous amount of beef in my life. I don't eat near so much now. But if we don't chew our food well, you see, our liver must produce enough fat because there's the next meal coming. So it must produce enough fat for us to digest and burn that up. If we're swallowing chunks, chances are our liver, it always has to produce enough. And when it produces more than enough, that's how we gain weight. So chew your food well. You won't be sorry. Your stomach will be better off. You'll control your weight more easily. And you'll be satisfied sooner, and in most cases, eat less. In my younger years, a normal size serving of anything wasn't enough for me. And now there are times where I don't eat a full serving of supper or lunch. So very key. Exercise and movement, of course, is important. We all know that. We were given arms and legs for a reason. You know, we're meant to use them, not just sit on our behind. And even the smallest amount is good, and it doesn't have to be strenuous. Just a stroll. If you go for a walk and have a stroll. If you live in the north like I do, in the wintertime, it's not very convenient. Nobody wants to slip and fall on the ice and snow. So you can maybe go to a shopping mall and walk around the shopping mall for a half an hour or so. You must keep moving. It's very important to our health. You have to keep moving. You can work out with very light weights. You can work out with a canned good, a can of beans or something, just to try and help keep your muscles toned and your bone density in a good place. So it's important for our legs that we remain strong, because if we fall and break a hip in our senior years and we're immobile completely for those few months, oftentimes people will have get pneumonia, things like that, which can take your life. So we tend to think when we're healthy that these diseases and problems will happen to others, not us. Well, 51% or so of all heart attacks are suffered by our ladies. More than 50% of all men will have serious prostate issues after the age of 60. So it's not always somebody else that suffers these ailments. It can be any of us. And but we tend to think when we're healthy that it won't affect us. I guess we'll leave it at that for today. I don't want to take any more of your time, folks, and appreciate you being with us today. And you can subscribe to the Strauss Naturals YouTube channel and see past podcasts and lots of information there. The Strauss website is listed below, straussnaturals.com in the United States, straussnaturals.ca in Canada, and Strauss, of course, is spelled Strauss. So thanks again for joining me. It's always my pleasure to be with you, and I'll look forward to our next. And don't hesitate to call the company if you want more information, to go on the website. If you'd like to communicate with me, we'll always arrange that. So in the meantime, stay healthy, stay active, and do your best to pay attention to your health. Thanks again. Bye now.